Right, hello, hello, hello. I've been adding books to my TBR in my Notion database, and I thought it might be useful to show you my system. I thought you might like that. So I've got 5 books lined up and I'm going to enter them into my system, and whether this will be a Notion tour or not, possibly not, but we'll see how it goes. So this is a Notion database that I've been working with for about 3 years, maybe 4 actually, and it started out as a Readwise database, which is the app that I use to get books into the database. But Readwise broke the connection a couple of times, in fact 3 times. So after having to rebuild all of the tweaks and customizations 3 times, I thought, right, I'm not doing this again. So I created a separate database, which is called Library 4, because it's the 4th iteration. And I disconnected that from Readwise, and so now I've got 2 books databases, which makes things complicated, but I know it's not going to break. So that makes the whole system much more complicated to build. But let me show you, first of all, how I enter the books. So I'm going to do a bit of screen recording on my iPhone, and then I will add 5 books, and then I'll show you how they appear into the database, and then how I annotate them with my settings and my tweaks and stuff. So start screen recording. Right, I think we're good. So first of all, we open up Readwise. Now this is connectable to different databases such as Notion and Obsidian, and I don't even know what else, lots of different things. And this is the primary purpose I use it for. It is useful for other stuff as well, like it'll send you out quotations that you've added so that you can get them by email or whatever if you want to do a deep dive into your quotations for the purposes of retention. But this is why I use it. So here we go, take a picture of the text. Like that. And then it OCRs the text. So this is just, I always just pick the first page of the book. Delete that paragraph. So that's the text in the database. I can note the page number. And because this is a new book, I need to add it in. And it's called Diary of Anne. Is it going to come up? There it is. Excellent. Right, so that's that added. Done. So it will appear. It just takes a bit of time. So while we're waiting for that to appear in my database, I'm going to add in some more. So we'll do 5, and then I'll show you all what it looks like. Okay. And I'm adding 2 fantasy books here, because then I can show you how the series template works as well. Now I could in fact add just text rather than taking photographs. And sometimes I do that. If I want to add a book quickly, I'll just add it by text. Oops. Messed that up. In fact, let me... No, we're good, we're good. Right, so... let's get rid of that. This one's called The Grace of Kings. That's part of the Dandelion dynasty. So yeah, what I was saying is you can add by text, and what I tend to do is just write hello, and then you can add a new book that way. But it's less interesting than having the first paragraph. So that's how I like to roll. So this is another book from the same series, The Veiled Throne. Page number, forgot to do that on the last one, didn't I? Page 3. So if you add by page number, then when the highlights appear in the database, you can make them chronological by page number. So this one's called The Veiled Throne. Book 3, is it? I guess that means I don't have book 2. Okay, 2 more. Young Stalin. I'm doing this, it's like when you start making a mixtape and you discover your music again and you want to listen to it all. Doing this is making me want to read all these books right now. It's like, when am I going to get to these? You know, but if you're a book lover, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is my physical TBR. Books I've had on the shelf for a while and haven't got them in the system yet, so this will hopefully help me to plan when I'm going to read them. So that's page 1. So this is called Young Stalin. There we are. And one more. Anthony Beevor. Russia, Revolution and Civil War. Another exciting book. Page 7. And as you're reading the books, of course, you can take highlights using the same method, and the highlights will be added to the entry for that book. And also, if you take highlights in a Kindle book, it will automatically create an entry, and then all the Kindle highlights and notes will be added in to the book entry in the database. It's really quite something. I haven't yet figured out how to combine 2 entries. If you take an entry this way with a photograph and OCR, and if you take one from a Kindle highlight, because that's what I did when I was reading Orlando Fige's book on the Russian Revolution, because obviously it's easier to highlight text in Kindle than it is to take photos and OCR it. Right, so that's the 5 books entered. So this is my Readwise library database, and there's 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, 4 books, 5 books. They all just appeared at the same time, as if by magic. It's good, isn't it? So, first up, I'm going to make them TBR. I'm going to drag that down. Now they're all TBR'd. So you can see that it automatically gives you an author fields. Let's open up an entry and you can have a look what it looks like. So it gives you the full title, it gives you a link to the Amazon page. It's categorized as books. Some of these fields I've added myself. Some of them are there automatically, and you can't remove the fields that Readwise creates. If you do that, the thing breaks. So don't do that. But you can add as many other fields as you want, which I have done. You can see the text there that I've copied with a note of the page number. So I've got all these fields to fill in now. So let's start with creator. Do I have this creator already in my database? I thought I did. I do, because I've read another book by this author, Andrei Kurkov. So that now is a relational connection to my creators database. And if we click on that, you can see here that we have two books. One in library 4, which is, as I said, is the 4th iteration of my library, which is not connected to Readwise. So that's a book that I've read. So there's the information on that. And you can see I've made no notes, and I entered it using that text method. So we go back to the author, back to Diary of an Invasion. So we've got more stuff to fill in. Right, now I go to Goodreads and I look the book up in Goodreads. Right, and I take this summary, copy it, published 2022. Right, year published, 2022. Summary. Okay. Scroll down, it's non-fiction, format physical, and that's there for a particular reason. Month and year, that will be set when I decide when I'm going to read it, so that shows up in my other filtered lists. Books read this year and books read this month. I see this to buy formula and this owned formula. These are both automated, so if I go up to physical and I remove it, you can see now that to buy has been automatically checked, because not having a format means I don't own it. If I change that, physical, the owned checkbox is selected. The purpose of this is, if I go to my shopping list, if the to buy button is checked because I don't own the book, it will show up here. So that's how I get my shopping list. So next time I'm in Waterstones, I can be like, aha, clever, isn't it? Right, so those are the main things. The last one to pick is genre. So I have a genre for Russia and the former Soviet Union. I'll see, this is a kind of biography / memoir. And then genre here, this is a multi-select, because when I move the entry from the Readwise database into the Library 4 database, for some reason the genre gets wiped, and so does the creator. It's kind of annoying. So that's that entry done. Where was I in this one? What view was I in here? I've got so many of these now. Reading. All. Yeah, right, this one. Right, and I'll just show you one more. This one will give you an example of how the series database works. So, Grace of Kings, I think I've got this author already as well, because he translated LIU. No. So this is a new guy. So what I then do is I just copy from here, put it in here, and then add. Does that mean I've not added 3 body problem? Possibly. Let's just have a quick search. Looks like I haven't. So that's another one I need to add. Right, so because he's new, I need to go into my creator database and say who he is. So he's a writer and he is a translator. And then I would give it an icon. So that's the writer one. Normally for translators, I would add a green thing, but I think writer probably supersedes translator. So now you can see that I've got him here in this database. Grace of Kings, let's go to Goodreads. So it came out in 2015. Summary. Format, physical, fiction, genre, fantasy. And it's duplicated just so that when I move this after having read it, I can see what the genre are and then copy them back in case I forget. And you can see the text here is copied. Series, check the box. This is number 1 in the series, and the series is called The Dandelion Dynasty. New. Now we click on it to open that up, and we're going to add the creator of the series. How many books does it have? Let's check. Goodreads. Book 2, book 3, book 4. Right, so there are 4. And then these fields will automatically update as I read the books. I'm going to add the series template, and we're going to add want to read, and I think that's it for series. Yeah. Okay, back to the book. Yeah, these Readwise and Library 4, these will basically show the books as I read them. And then media, this is a link to a different database. So if I read an article about the book, like a review, or I watch a YouTube clip, and then I add them, I can connect it up to this book as well, or to this series, and that will show up under the media tab. And then content pipeline, that's another database, where if I make a video about a book or a series and I tag it with these entries, it will show up here as well. So it's, you know, I'm pretty proud of this actually. Right, let's go back to the book. And we've added in the genre. That's everything there. So you can see now that these entries show up here as a series. We've created the creator. We can add him to that one now because it's an existing entry. We can add the series, so this can all be done right here. Dandelion Dynasty, The Veiled Throne. Did I say it was number 3? Yeah, it's number 3, so I'm going to have to get book 2, haven't I? The Wall of Storms. Why have I got 3 and not 2? So if we put that in here. So yeah, let me just show you the other view. I've got this table view here, which is sorted by number. Same over here, but I've not read any of them, so I could show you that. If I expand that, go here, let's pick a series that's got quite a lot of books. Dark Tower, list view. Oh, I haven't added the, so what we do now is, this is magic, watch this. If I select all and delete, it gives me the option to recreate using the series tab. Watch this. Because I've got this template set up now to do this. Look at that. And you can see that this one is missing a number. So if we add in the 4, it will automatically resort. And I've read all of these, but I've got a reread planned, so that's why these are in Readwise and not in Library 4. So yeah, the duplication thing, you know, it causes a few issues, but it solves the problem of anxiety with Notion, losing the connection and having to recreate it, because that's not fun. Right. So that's basically the ins and outs. Let's look at Simon Sebag, Montefiore. If I click on his name, you can see what else we've got. Right, so here's an example. This is the Media Vault. That's showing some podcasts that he was a co-host on. You can see the Readwise Library and Library 4. I haven't read any. If we scroll down, you'll see all of these here. And you can see that this page could do with being re-templatized with the creator template, because I've updated it since. So now you can see on the TBR tab, which is the same as Readwise. I could actually probably get rid of that, but it just gives you a different view. So there you go. I hope that was interesting. If you want to see more of my database, let me know. I'll just show you a quick view of the dashboard because it's pretty cool. There's the dashboard. I'm quite pleased with that, I have to say. It's taken me hours and hours and hours, and days actually, days to build this. In fact, now that we're here, just show you through some of the tabs that I've got set up here. Recently finished books, currently reading, and the reason that's so big is because I've got multiple translations of Crime and Punishment and of War and Peace, so it's not quite as big as it looks. Recently added. So this is the, yeah, it should be Readwise. No, this is Library 4. Recently added books that I've read. And then genre. I've got genres up the side, which is quite a neat little thing. This is automated. So if you show the properties here, which I've got hidden, so it's got formulas and stuff. So you can automatically see the TBR, which is Readwise, and the books I've read, Library 4, for each genre. And of course, books can be multiple genres. So if we look at Lenin here, he's obviously also a history book. So, history. read, to be read, and just a table view with nothing in it. So there you go. That's kind of a quick summary of how I get books into my Readwise database and why I've got different books databases. I now want to add the second book of the Dandelion Dynasty so that it goes onto my shopping list. Not that I'm in a hurry because I've not read the first one, but you know, it should be on the list. So I'll have to do it with text because I don't have the book. So I just type in hello, and then we add the new book, and it is called The Wall of Storms. Okay. So that's done. And now we wait. Right, here we go. First of all, TBR. Number in series is 2. Series name, Dandelion Dynasty. Author, Ken Liu. Let's open up Goodreads. Let's get our synopsis. Date of publication 2016. 2016. Summary. Right. Fiction. Format we're going to leave blank. Genre. Fantasy. Genre. Fantasy. There's the text. Hello. And I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah. That's it entered. Now, if we go to shopping list, boom, Wall of Storms. If we have a look how it shows up in the series, it's showing up as number 2. All is good. Hope this was useful. I don't know. If you want more info on the Readwise setup, I mean, hopefully this is enough. You should be able to go and sign up for Readwise. When I signed up for it, they did do a 30-day trial, but that was back in 2020, so I don't know if they still offer that. I also don't have an affiliate account for Readwise, so I can't send you that link, but go and look it up. And it does lots of other things other than what I use it for. It might be something that you find useful. It will also copy articles, for example, podcasts, tweets. Are they still called tweets? I don't know. I don't use Twitter anymore, so yeah, that's me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again for a book review, hopefully quite soon, or at least a wrap-up video at the end of October. Cheers. See you later.